example.
Next, when the Ogden's lodger Eddie Yates ran out of wallpaper, he brought home something that was to become a national treasure.
There, that is your scenic panorama contrast wall.
The Ogdens were the only people in the street who had bought their house. Everybody else was renting.
Annie Walker's never had one of them mural walls, that I do know. I think it'll suit us very nicely, will that?
That was a thing that made Hilda feel a little bit superior from the outset.
It's a new flaming mural.
Ah, Stan, sure.
With a picture on the wall, you know. It's good too.
Do you mean a mural, by any chance? Oh, now, Mrs. Walker. No, this is a picture on the wall.
Annie was horrified, probably made some snide remark.
Come in, it's open house. Oh, I just...
Aha, you couldn't resist it, you couldn't.
There's so much about Coronation Street which is iconic, and it's as iconic as the three curlers in Hilda's hair.
Shut your eyes, turn round and open them.
Oh, my word, Mrs. Ogden. Do you know, dear, I feel just a little giddy. Would you mind if I sat facing the other way until I'm acclimatised?
Well, either you're one for the great outdoors or you're not. Myself, I am.
At 29, it's the sorry tale of one bookie, two barmaids and a big broken heart. Des won himself a second chance with Raquel, but was about to throw it all away.
You get Raquel, who everyone wants to just wrap up in cotton wool.
Des, I'm ready.
Right, I'm coming. Like lots of women, she didn't want a decent guy. She wanted somebody exciting, like Des.
And they're in love and everything's fine, and this dilemma's going on in his head. Oh, she's so gorgeous, and then he looks over there and just sees Tanya. You understand why he did it. I'm sure everyone understands why he did it. I do.
Come back to my flat.
There was just one small problem. Alex, Tanya's other boyfriend and Des's boss.
She becomes an addiction. So everything was in place, really. You know, you just put the pieces together and there you have the perfect jigsaw, really.
Des! Get your clothes on and shove up! Well, get out of that bed, you're in bed with my girl! Get out before I kill you! Raquel.
There was an overwhelming amount of sympathy for Raquel, always. Sarah Lancashire said to me, they're going to hate you for this. And the next day, we went out somewhere to some supermarket and all the women were like, you're terrible. And all the blokes were like, nice one.
At 28, we go back to how it all began and Coronation Street's first episode. Created by Tony Warren, the series was originally called Florizel Street until the studio tea lady pointed out that it sounded like disinfectant. Intended to run for only 13 episodes, the rest is television history. And did you know that a budding 60s pop star was one of its very first faces?
House to let, a car within, as I go out.
I'm very proud to say that I was actually one of the first faces to be seen on the first episode. I was actually the little girl that was bouncing the ball.
1, 2, 3, 4. Mary at the cottage door.
Coronation Street's all right. Mind, there's some you'll have to watch.
It was very important to me that they used real northern actors.
I had just had the lead in a television play, Marking Time it was called, and I recorded that up at Granada. And unbeknown to me, it's while I was recording that Tony Warren brought Josie Scott, the casting woman, down and said, that's the guy I want to play Kambala.
I got a record.
One I'd like.
You might, I'm not sure.
When I look back to episode 1, I just think how thin I was.
Some parts were easy to cast. Phoenix and I took one look at one another.
Hey, Elsie, just about ready for the knacker yard.
And she knew she'd found her author, and I knew I'd found my star.
Oh, Linda. I don't know what we're going to do. What about?
I got the call to say I'd got the part of Linda Chevesky, and would I like to start on Monday?
Shall I go blonde? Well, why ask me? If you want to go blonde, you go blonde, you know that. Ivan nearly went mad when he found a bottle of peroxide I'd brought in. I wouldn't care, but it would only to take a mark off my front tooth.
Shall I go blonde? Well, I have. Well, it's not. It's grey.
It used to go out on a Friday and a Monday at 7 o'clock. We'd do the Friday one live.
As it approached 7 o'clock, I heard the floor manager say, right, settle down, studio, 10 seconds, none. And I went rigid.
So you're stuck to going in a lady's handbag?
Just listen it. A lady, is that what you crack on you are these days?
But all the characters have got bits of me in.
I'm Mrs. Sharples.
I'm very pleased to meet you.
And as for Enid, well, I grow more like her every day.
Are them fancies today's?
Yes.
I'll take half a dozen and no eclairs. No eclairs.
It hit the screen with that unbelievable impact
That'll be 4 and 7 halfpenny altogether.
and was a roaring success within those 6 weeks. I think it went to the top of the ratings and has never been out of the top 10 ever since.
When Deirdre Rashid started dating supposed pilot John Lindsay,
You fly carefully. It's a long way to Nairobi.
little did she know that he wasn't the man he said he was.
The fact it spanned over a long period of time really worked to its favour because there were various times when he had to justify himself. When Ken found him in Iraq and tried to explain to Deirdre what happened, she didn't believe him. Then she turned up and found him there. And then he had to come up with some kind of story as to why that was the case.
Yes, can I? Go on then. Lie your way out of this one. You don't think about that sort of thing happening, do you? But it does happen. And it's based on, actually, a true story.
John won Deirdre over,
Will you marry me?
but his fraudulent actions got worse.
I told you I'd surprise you one day.
And it was Deirdre that got caught in the firing line.
In a few moments, you'll be formally charged.
What with?
1 count of obtaining a credit card by deception. 1 count of procuring a mortgage by fraud.
When the trial comes, it is a really big climax, and the fact that she is blamed for so much of the stuff that he's engineered, and that kind of sense of injustice, that everybody feels, it really allowed the audience to enjoy the payoff of the trial at the end.
The jury has found you guilty by a unanimous verdict of all the counts against you. Have you anything to say?
I didn't do any of it.
Take the defendant down with you.
The Free Deirdre business was a total shock. I wasn't expecting anything like the sort of reaction that it got. My mother-in-law rang me and said, "Have you got news at 10 on?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, put it on because you're on."
Overnight, Coronation Street fans began a campaign to free Deirdre Rashid, who was jailed in last night's episode. And now it seems even the Prime Minister wants to get involved.
The whole press campaign about the Weatherfield one was very, very clever. I mean, this whole sort of we've released her because of the press campaign. Look, come on, she went to prison for 3 weeks. She was always going to prison for 3 weeks. But I love the fact that The Sun, to this day, claim credit for getting her out in 3 weeks.
I told you I'd get you out, didn't I? I promised.
At number 26, Peter Barlow turns bigamist when he says "I do" to both Lucy and Shelley.
It's very exciting when the storylines start to come through and you try to guess where it's going to end up. He slowly got deeper and deeper in. From a chance meeting, he was actually buying flowers to take back to Shelley.
Peter, by the way.
Oh, Lucy.
Yeah, I know. Your name's outside.
It wasn't long before Peter was caught up with florist Lucy, but this was to be no bed of roses.
Any regrets?
No, I don't. It's great. There was one little bit for me that was instrumental in that story.
I do love you, you know.
Yeah. I love you too.
He's taken his tie off and he looks in the mirror now. I think in the script it said that Peter looks in the mirror and he's kind of pleased with himself that he's gotten away with it. But me and Ian, the director, felt that as soon as he looks in the mirror, he should feel ashamed of himself, a deep shame of what he'd done there to Shelley, and then, as the story went on, also to Lucy.
Lucy Richards, will you marry me?
Yes. Mr. and Mrs. Barlow.
Yeah, so no regrets?
Hundreds, but it's too late.
Yeah, well, I don't.
Peter tried to fulfil his responsibilities with her, even though he'd got Shelley.
You may kiss the bride.
Shelley, love, it looks like we're married to the same man.
It was that journey to the point when you wondered what the hell was going to happen to Peter and how he would get his comeuppance. And it was actually delicious when we got there and well worth waiting for.
Well, here he is, the husband.
What's happening?
It's your 2 wives, together at last.
Shell.
So it's true, is it?
Well,
You married to her?
I suppose I am, as it happens. Yeah.
He never meant to hurt anybody. That's the strangest thing. And who got hurt most? He himself.
That's it for the first half of Coronation Street. 50 years, 50 moments.
Bye.
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 But there's still all of this to look forward to.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Wait till you try bingo. You'll hyperventilate.
I'm coming with you.